Hello. I would like to record this video about the lesson which I just taught on three-dimensional solids, and I'm sharing my screen to show you the lesson which was organized in Desmos activities. I was teaching this class simultaneously for my in-person students and for my online students, which made it a little bit challenging. And as a reflection of this lesson, I would like to make some corrections and some modifications of the lesson, but I would like to quickly let you know what was the lesson based on. That was the very first lesson of the solids. And over the years, I discovered that students are struggling with spatial thinking. So this lesson was dedicated to spatial thinking. I had two groups of students. One group of students was online who was following this Desmos activity, and the other group of students was in person, and I was teaching them at the same time. I had 44-minute class period to teach this lesson. I began this lesson with this extra credit do now. I usually give a little bit challenging do now just to start the activity and just to have some talking with students. So here is the do now, which I presented to students, 10 points extra credit, 10 bags of coins, 9 of the sacks contain good coins weighing 1 ounce each, but the 10 sack contain counterfeit coins weighing 1.1 ounce each. And the question was how in one weighting students could identify which bag has counterfeit coins. After that, I transitioned to the lesson. So right away, I would like to reflect that that do now was not the best for this lesson on solids because it didn't have the best connection. And also students spent about 7 minutes thinking about it, but they did not produce any good answers, even after prompts and explanation and suggestions. So I believe that do now should have been replaced with something which is more applicable to solids. For example, I could have showed them something like an orthographic, an isometric view of the shape, and I could have asked them what's the volume of the shape, assuming that each block is one unit, one cubic unit. I think this would have been better for my lesson. So this is the first correction which I would make for my next lesson, which I will teach. So after that, we transitioned into working with solids and arranging and assembling the shapes. My online students were able to follow this link, and they had this beautiful applet when they could build different shape. I'm just demonstrating how to build it, and they could see the front, right, and the top view and isometric view. That was very, very good. So my online students were also engaged. My in-person students had Lego cubes, and they also loved it so very much because they had this physical manipulative when they can engage with that, and they can also just look at the perspective. They can look at the front, they can look at the top, and they can see how the view is supposed to be. At the same time, my online people would make an isometric view of the shape, and then my in-person and my online students were able to compare what they got. So I think that was a very, very good lesson on engaging both groups of students in person and online at the same time, as I think a lot of teachers are struggling now with engaging online people when they teach in simultaneously, which is quite hard. But I think this particular lesson went pretty well when both groups of students were engaged. I'll just quickly go through the lesson. There were not that many slides, but we were able to work on it for the entire 44 minutes. After that, I introduced the math plan of the shape. I asked them the following questions. Is there just one arrangement of the blocks possible, and how can we avoid the confusion? And I introduced them the math plan, and according to the math plan, I asked them to again assemble the shape. Online people did it in the applet, in-person people did it using Lego cubes. Then I explained that there's another way of representing 3D shapes by just giving front, right, and top view. And given the shape, I asked my students to draw the front, right, and the top view. My in-person people had to assemble a Lego and then draw the pictures. My online students had to use this online tool, and they had to first of all draw the picture and then compare how does it look in front, right, and the top view. It took a little bit longer for my in-person students because they had to build the shape first, but also that fosters better understanding of the shape. So I was really, really happy with how this went. I don't have because online, because in person people were doing this on the paper and then they collected all of this paper with them, so I don't have their work to present, but they really deeply understood the concept of how to draw the front, right, and the top view of the shape, because they built it and then they were able to look at the front, look from the right, and they stood up to look from the top. So I think that part of the lesson went pretty well, and most of the students completed this assignment correctly. Also, I was very happy that we were able to communicate with online students. Those who built this online or those who completed this online were able to kind of compare our results and see, all right, let's compare your top view, that's how it's supposed to look like, or let's compare your front view, that's how it's supposed to look like. So I was really happy with how that part of the lesson went. And the last part of the lesson, that was the own practice, given the slide, the math plans of the shapes. They had to build 3 different shapes and also draw the top, front, and the side view. And all of my students, about 90% of my students, were able to do it. I would also modify my Desmos activity slightly because I did not provide my online student opportunity to draw on this slide. That's why I was not able to see their work. So for my next lesson, I will definitely add more opportunities for my online students to be engaged and show their work. And last part of the lesson, I gave them this front, right, and the top view of the shape, and I asked my in-person students to assemble it using the 3D blocks, and I asked my online student to use this tool to create the shape. They were given front, right, and the top view, and they had to create the shape. I was a little bit worried, and I thought that will be a struggle for the students, but because they already had the prior knowledge and they had the physical manipulative, which I believe was the best part of the lesson, almost all of them, I would say again, 90% of the students were able to do it. My online students just shared their screens and demonstrated their work, while my in-person students, I just walked around and and I saw their work. For the future, again, for my next lesson, I would like to provide an opportunity for all people to share their work. It's easier for in-person people. I can just walk around and they can see the work of their neighbors. But for my online students, I did not provide good opportunity. So I would like to add another slide here to to give them a chance to draw, to explore, or to take a screenshot of their work and paste it on Desmos. Because I feel that online people, they were really happy to share their screens, but it will be much easier if we had all of their work on the same screen. Another thing which I would like to highlight, another correction which I would add to my lesson, is some sort of an exit ticket. Maybe exit ticket will be in the form of identify the solid, or draw the net, I'm sorry, not the net, but draw the front or the right view of the solid given the math plan of the solid. And I feel that exit ticket, 5 minutes exit ticket, would have been very beneficial for this lesson. So that's another correction which I would like to add to my lesson. Overall, this lesson was very successful. I think that students developed their spatial thinking. It was the first lesson of the entire unit on solids, and I think that once students have better spatial understanding, they will have better understanding of nets of the solids, which will be our following lesson, the cross sections of the solids, and the volume of the solids. Our plan for tomorrow would be, this page is loading. Our plan for tomorrow to be working with orthographic and isometric projections. So for tomorrow, I will prepare the isometric paper and I will ask the students to draw this shape. I'm using GeoGebra, which was already created. I did not create this GeoGebra. So I think that this lesson should go pretty well. And then we will have a little bit more practice on working with software to build the 3D 3D view of the shape. This shape will be given to them, they would have to build it. That's the plan for tomorrow, and if we will be able to get to it, we will also draw a shape in 1-point perspective and 2-point perspective. I also know that the students not only learning a lot of geometry, develop their geometrical and spatial thinking, they also enjoy this very much, because at the end, it looks very beautiful. So I think that's part of the lesson, which students not only learning a lot, but they also enjoying it. And that is pretty much the end of my reflection video. Thank you very much for your time for watching it.